so we are asking some questions on this broadcast with regards to this incident, and that will hopefully give us answers post the investigation. Was the accused mentally stable, or was this an anti-Muslim rampage? Was the attempt to target all these Muslim civilians as he did in that train? The second question that hopefully we'll get answers to post the investigation: why did the accused target specific people, target only members of the Muslim community? He reportedly went from one coach to another looking for them, and then went ahead and shot at them and killed them. Let's get to also the next question now on our broadcast. With regards to if this was a communal crime, why did accused Chetan then go ahead and target his senior? Because remember, the first killing was that of ASI Mira. So that is, of course, something that we will hopefully have clarity on. And finally, also questions loom on whether Chetan was mentally unstable or not. We'll hopefully get answers to that as the investigation progresses. I want to bring in now Mustafa Sheikh, who's joining us live on this broadcast. Mustafa, there's a lot of back and forth right now on exactly what transpired, the exact sequence of events. What are officials saying right now on this angle that several people are questioning about the civilians who were targeted, about the Muslims who were targeted, and the horrifying videos that are doing the rounds?
Well, as of now, what the police are saying is that there are some versions coming out which is of those policemen who were with Tikaram and Chetan, and they are saying that it was work pressure, he was not allowed to go, and hence he targeted. But at the same time, there is no concrete statement which has been recorded of train passengers who are present at that point. And that is something which is surprising, is that the videos which have come out in which a lot of passengers are seen, but these passengers have actually not come out and recorded their statements with the policemen. And those statements are also key, because remember, it is not that the firing has taken place only in one coach. It's in the 3 different coach of the same train that this firing has taken place, whether these people were running and why these 3 people specifically were targeted. And obviously there is what we are saying, that is a religious angle. But at this point, the clarity which the police has is about that prima facie it looks like that he was troubled with some work, and hence he has taken this step. But at the same time, there is no word as to why these 3 civilians were targeted. The police are also saying is that even if we get a version from the eyewitness, we will have to verify if this version is true or not, and that is something which will take some time. Back to you, Akshita.
Right, Mustafa, thank you very much for getting us all of those details. I just want to read out for you now parts of a statement that's come in from a witness. This is mentioned in the FIR. There was another constable called Acharya who was in that train. Here's what he said happened. He confirmed that he was in the train along with Chetan, boarded along with 3 other cops, including Chetan and the ASI. Now, he says that Chetan claimed he was unwell. I checked whether he had fever, but he didn't seem to have a high temperature. He seemed just fine, but he kept constantly claiming he was unwell. Let's get you the next plate as well. Now, after that, according to, in fact, this witness scope, ASI Mira and Chetan repeatedly asked him to stop the train, that he'd get off at the Valsad railway station, which is about 2 to 3 hours before the final stop. Now, this was a request that was constantly rejected by ASI Mira. Chetan, in fact, had convinced the ASI to also reach out to the command center, to the control center, but they too said, rest in the train, you'll reach in another 2 to 3 hours. Now, at this point, the ASI, who was extremely understanding, reportedly asked the constable to get something, to get a cold drink for Chetan. He refused, however, to drink. Chetan was then asked to rest, to sleep till they reach the final stop. And that's why he had directed the witness here, the constable Acharya, to take away his rifle. And Acharya says he was seated right adjacent to Chetan when Chetan refused to sleep for about 15 minutes, tossed back and forth, and then started arguing with him to take back his rifle. So much so that, according to Constable Acharya, the witness here, he was being strangled and threatened by Chetan. So he gave up the rifle. Now, that's when he realized that Chetan, the accused here, had taken the wrong rifle, had taken his rifle instead of his own. So he stopped him, told him, you've taken the wrong rifle. So Chetan gave it back, but then started arguing once again with ASI Mira, who was also present there. Now, it was at that point that this witness says he moved away. Only much later to hear, and there's about 25 minutes later, reportedly, he heard that the ASI was shot dead. His colleague says that he had reached out to him and told him that your ASI has in fact been killed. So he went back to the coach to see 3 to 4 passengers, he says, running towards me in a panic. He says, I saw Chetan. He looked extremely angry and started moving towards me. So I ran away and went into another coach. And then he says that I saw Chetan standing outside, in fact, on the platform once the train had stopped. He says a passenger had clearly pulled the chain and Chetan had gotten off. But he was still aiming at the train, trying to fire at the train. So this constable says, at that point I was scared and I decided to go ahead and hide in the washroom of the train. Now, once he's hiding there, he says that Chetan, even at that point, was aiming for the train, ready to shoot again, but was clearly making a bid to run away. The train, according to this constable Acharya, then started moving once again. And then at the next stop, when he stepped out, he saw that Chetan was still, in fact, away, wasn't in the train. And the cops officials had managed to get in and started tending to the accused, to those who were casualties of this horrific crime. So that is the sequence of events as mentioned by the witness. Now, there's a lot of talk about whether this has been communalized, particularly over what Asaduddin Owaisi said. We broke it here on India Today last evening. A lot of you have piled onto me on social media questioning why have we said communalizing. Well, if you look at the definition, it's about dragging religion, taking in religion into a case, which is exactly what had happened yesterday when the reactions came in. So just a Google search will tell you what the meaning of that is. But I want to leave you with some food for thought, essentially. What if the tables were turned? What if the religions were different? What if the case itself was completely different from what it is right now? Would all of those who are outraging today, saying that you must call this out to be a terror attack, to be an anti-Muslim attack, would they have still outraged the same way, or would they have said that there's an attempt to trivialize mental health, that there's an attempt to change the narrative and not talk about mental health if the tables were turned?